pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to the Vlog-A-Thon 4.0. And so now, for this part in the Vlog-A-Thon 4.0, I just want to say, at this point, that I'm pretty much getting there. I'm around the halfway margin by this time, so of course, it pretty much makes sense that right here, when I'm nearing the halfway point, I might as well talk a little bit about Kaiju Force Neo as a whole, and not just with everything else that I've already mentioned, including the different feature film productions of mine that I've got in the store, and of course, everything else that I've gotten for my YouTube channel, for social media, and many other things that seem to go into play. I've already mentioned Dr. Squatch in my life, so let's just talk a little bit about the kind of profit margin that I have. For those who are pretty curious to know, then well, simply put, Kaiju Force Neo is a pretty big business in and of itself. By my standards, it may be one of the smallest known companies known to exist. Certainly because it doesn't have its own headquarters officially. But I will say for sure that Kaiju Force Neo is, in fact, going to be a really big thing going on. If I were able to make a huge killing selling off popularity on Twitter, and I was also able to get a lot of viral bits and pieces to my YouTube channel, then there's no doubt Kaiju Force Neo could be even more successful by today's standards. Although I should mention, this profit margin that I've gotten where I'm actually earning money from the business itself, just to pay off certain things out there, like bills, and things to eat and drink, and of course a place to lie down every night. This money is basically coming from other partitions in Kaiju Force Neo, along with the ones that I'm already working with, but of course, if there's one in particular, then it'd probably be URG, Urban Rural Groundskeeping. It's basically my own sort of landscaping contractor-based work, in which that I tend to do a lot of stuff here and there. I've basically worked with a lot of people out there on the basis of being a contractor, and also doing a lot of landscaping and a lot of lawn mowing and the likes of which that have anything to do with the outdoors. Of course, those are just a bit of the tip of the iceberg itself. But URG is in fact going to have a lot more to do than just all that. There of course might be the possibility of it turning into something more than just groundskeeping. URG might relate to, well, snow removal. Or of course it could also become flood damage or electrical fixation. I don't really know anything in particular, but of course the possibilities may not stop anywhere. So let's not forget that there's a lot to be known at this point. But it is, in fact, one of the only branches in Kaiju Force Neo that actually happens to turn a profit. Every week whenever I tend to work in these landscaping portions or contractor-based works with people, I tend to get paid up to $60 a week, in which that it could be up to $300 a month, depending on how many times I happen to go there. Of course, there is the usual lawn mowing jobs, as well as the occasional other jobs, including trimming and gutter cleanup, and likewise. So that's just another bit of the iceberg itself. Whatever goes below it is basically what the main purpose of it is. Senior residents here in the state of Wisconsin are always looking forward to having a little extra help nearby. And it may not just be in Wisconsin, you know. A lot of people around the states themselves might actually want to have a lot of help by their side. And of course, I'm probably one of those that seems to set a very good example to the modern day worker. So of course, that's just another big way of getting that down. But all in all, I will say that Kaiju Force Neo, regardless of whether or not it does have URG around, or whether or not it is in fact making a good amount of money with it, it still is utilizing plenty of different ways to earn money in most ways. Sometimes by advertisements, sometimes by volunteer work that ends up being paid in tip money, which is not very similar to that of becoming something like a waiter. Of course, you might not think that that's relevant, but unfortunately, you aren't the guy who's been managing a business for nearly 16 long years. And being that I've come this far, there really is a lot that anyone could possibly expect. But at this point in time, I gotta say, there really is a lot of work to do. And there really is a lot that I could probably expect. Even if I ain't expecting anything, then well, that's perfectly fine. Plenty of stuff is bound to come around here in the coming years, so we shouldn't forget that these things are going to be around for a while. But of course, there's always a way around it. Whether or not you want to work for something or you want to have something else to do to keep your time occupied, but also to see what you can get just to get by. Of course, I know where I'm sticking to. The things that I'm skilled at and the things that I'm very proficient at doing. So, that's pretty much just it right now. But if you want to see more, go down to my channel. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.